John is the most common male name in the entire recorded history of the Western world. More kings, more saints, more popes, more ordinary men across more centuries have carried this name than any other in European history. But John is not a European name. It is a 2,500-year-old Hebrew name born in the ancient desert. And the bloodline of history it has been quietly carrying through every culture it touched is more extraordinary, more violent, and more world-changing than the quiet familiarity of the name itself would ever suggest. John begins in ancient Hebrew as Yohanan, two ancient Hebrew elements fused into a single declaration. Yo, a shortened form of YHWH, the sacred name of God in Hebrew tradition, so holy it was never spoken aloud, and Hanan, meaning grace, favor, or mercy. Together, Yohanan means God is gracious. God has shown favor. That is what you are carrying if your name is John. A 2,500-year-old declaration that whoever named you believed they had received something from the divine worth, announcing in their child's name. When the Hebrew scriptures were translated into Greek, Yohanan became Ioannis. When Greek became Latin, Ioannis became Johannes. From Latin, every European language built its own version as Christianity spread across the continent. John in English, Jean in French, Johann in German, Juan in Spanish, Giovanni in Italian, Sean and Eoin in Irish, Eoin and Ian in Scottish, Ivan in Russian, Yahya in Arabic. One ancient Hebrew name, 30 languages, every single one still in use today. Two specific men, both named John, both living in 1st century Judea, are directly responsible for turning a respected Hebrew name into the most common male name in Western civilization. John the Baptist was a desert preacher who appeared in the wilderness of Judea around 28 CE, living on locusts and wild honey, wearing camel hair, baptizing people in the Jordan River, and publicly accusing Herod Antipas of an illegal marriage. That accusation got him arrested. His execution, beheaded at the request of Herodias' daughter Salome, whose dancing had pleased Herod so much he promised her anything she asked, is one of the most dramatic individual death scenes in the ancient historical record, documented not just in the Gospels, but in the secular historian Josephus. John the Baptist baptized Jesus of Nazareth in the Jordan River. That single act made him the forerunner, the herald who announced what was coming before it arrived. Every Christian tradition in the world venerates him. His feast day on the 24th of June became one of the most widely celebrated days in the medieval Christian calendar, absorbing and replacing older pagan midsummer celebrations across Europe. John the Apostle, the brother of James, the son of Zebedee, was the longest-lived of the 12 disciples. While most apostles died as martyrs, John lived into extreme old age, dying peacefully in Ephesus around 100 CE. He is credited with writing the Gospel of John, the most philosophically sophisticated of the 4 Gospels, opening with, "In the beginning was the Word," 3 New Testament letters and the Book of Revelation, 2 Johns. One died young and violently for speaking truth to power. One lived long and wrote some of the most influential texts in human history. Together they gave the name Yohanan, a sacred weight that made it the automatic first choice for parents naming sons across every Christian culture. For the next 2,000 years, once Christianity made John sacred, the Catholic Church made it dominant. 23 popes have taken the name John, more than any other papal name in history. The frequency is not coincidental. Each pope named John was positioning himself within the tradition of the Apostle and the Baptist simultaneously. A deliberate claim of apostolic continuity that kept the name at the center of Catholic institutional culture for 15 centuries. Kings named John governed England, France, Scotland, Poland, Portugal, Hungary, and Castile during the medieval period. John I of Portugal, John the Great, founded the House of Aviz, defeated Castile at the Battle of Aljubarrota in 1385, and initiated the Portuguese Age of Discovery that would eventually reach India. John II, John the Perfect Prince, launched the exploration program that sent Bartholomew Diaz around the Cape of Good Hope. John I of England, King John, signed Magna Carta in 1215 under pressure from his barons at Runnymede. He signed it reluctantly, under duress, and immediately tried to have it annulled. But the name attached to the bottom of that document shaped the legal and political tradition of every country that inherited English common law, including the United States. A name carried by the man who, however unwillingly, put his seal on the founding document of Western constitutional governance. The name John entered Celtic culture through Christianity. But what happened to it inside Gaelic tradition is its own story. In Ireland, the name became Juan, a phonetic adaptation of the Norman French form John, which arrived with the Anglo-Norman invasion of the 12th century. Sean became so embedded in Irish culture that it became essentially interchangeable with a generic term for an Irish man, the way English uses John Smith to mean an ordinary person. In Scotland, the name split into two forms. Eoin is the Scottish Gaelic adaptation derived from the Latin Johannes. Eoin spread from the Highlands into the international naming tradition, becoming one of the most common male names of the 20th century entirely independently of its parent name. John. Eoin in Irish is a separate Gaelic adaptation of Johannes that produced yet another name now considered entirely distinct from John in modern Irish usage. Despite being historically identical at its root, John, Sean, Ian, Eoin, Owen, four names most people consider completely separate are all the same. 2,500-year-old Hebrew declaration, split by the Celtic phonetic system into four distinct streams flowing independently ever since. The specific form of the name in your family, and when it first appears, tells you more than the name itself. Sion or Shane points to Irish Gaelic culture absorbing Norman influence after the 12th century invasion. Your family's use of the name is at least 800 years old in its current form. Eoin or Ian reflects the Scottish Highlands adoption through the Celtic Christian church tradition rather than Norman influence. A slightly different cultural pathway producing a nearly identical sound. Ivan points to Eastern Orthodox Christian tradition rather than the Roman Catholic West. Ancestry connected to the Byzantine world rather than Latin Europe. Giovanni reflects Renaissance Italian culture. The name of painters, merchants, and popes simultaneously in the city-states that rebuilt Western civilization after the medieval period. Plain English John in a British or American family from the colonial period carries the Protestant Reformation's deliberate stripping of Catholic saint names down to their biblical originals, bypassing the medieval tradition to connect directly to the ancient Hebrew source. Same name, 5 completely different ancestry stories. Which one is yours depends entirely on which form your family carried. And why? 2,500 years ago, a Hebrew parent in the ancient desert looked at their newborn child and declared that God had been gracious to them. That declaration crossed from Hebrew into Greek, from Greek into Latin, from Latin into 30 languages across 30 cultures, splitting into Sean, Ian, Ivan, Giovanni, Juan, and Owen while carrying the same ancient meaning in every single one. John is not a common name. It only looks common because it has been everywhere for so long that familiarity made it invisible. Underneath that familiarity is one of the most traveled, most historically significant, most world-changing names the human race has ever produced. Subscribe. See ya.